I was getting paid 15,000 bob gross. This is in 1994. After tax is like 13,000 something. So after I quit, I had this hunger for success. I would wake up in the morning by 8 o'clock. You won't believe it. I would wear a tie and I'd sit there, but I have no job. My background was IT. When I was the IT manager, I was helping in procuring IT equipment and changing the systems within the organization, getting all these quotations for IT equipment, and I could see varying prices. One guy's quoting 1.5 million, one guy's quoting 1.2 million, the other guy's quoting 2 million, and I'm seeing a huge price difference. It was that moment that got me ticking. Now, maybe I should be sitting on that side, not on this side. 94 to 95, I was selling computers from my room. That time, I could even make 100,000 bob on a laptop. Do you know what I'm saying? 100,000 bob on a laptop.
94.
I'm talking 94, yeah? My wife would also join me. She was my girlfriend at the time, by the way, when we started PC World. Then she became my wife a year later. I think the father-in-law saw this guy. By the time we were shutting PC World, we had reached 700-800 million in turnover a year.
So you're running this company that's doing relatively well. You're still living with your parents.
Yes.
Okay.
By the time, in 2016, I had zero safety net. And I'd become accustomed to living a certain lifestyle. And now I have 2 teenage daughters who are studying in ISK.
I'm laughing because I know
that's a $50,000 a year school fees. And I thought I could genuinely get out of it. As a person, I was broken because at this time, business has failed. What do you think is next?
Marriage has failed.
Thank you. When I was going through the turmoil, there's something I did. I cannot give you the details of it, but I want your audience to know. There's something I did that brought me back up. I'll tell you one thing. Nobody believed me that I could pull this off. And I pulled it off not once, but twice. And that brought me into money, right? And that gave me my head start. And
what's
that
the fundamental of this thing you did?
It's
Hey guys, welcome back. Or I don't know if it's just welcome to Financially Incorrect Business Edition. So you've probably seen the promo about this new segment that we're doing. This is probably going to go out. By the time we record this, I don't know if it's going to be Tuesdays or Wednesdays, but one of those 2 days. And essentially what we're going to be doing is doing the same thing we do for Financially Incorrect as you have known it, where we get money stories and life journeys of individuals, but now we want to do this for businesses. We've heard entrepreneurs asking about this, and so here we are now. So essentially what we're going to do for this segment is focus on the financial life of a business, how it begins, what capital does for the business, whether it succeeds or fails, but that's essentially going to be our focus. So our focus for today is going to be PC World. And of course, PC World is renowned, and he was on the co-founder, but he bought the company, and he was the reason it became what it became, where they had 6 branches, extremely successful, huge company in Kenya at some point before they had to close ship. I think it was sometime in 2016 is when you shut down.
2016.
Okay, shut down 2016, founded 1995. Anyway, so with me, I have none other than Bobby Gadhia. I hope I pronounced that name right.
Bobby Gadhia,
and he's a serial entrepreneur. I think, I'll just let him tell us about the different things that he's done. But I have him here to talk about PC World. So welcome to Financially Incorrect.
Thank you so much. I'm glad to be here. Hopefully add some value.
Like we can pick up a lesson or two.
I hope so.
Okay. I'll keep this in tradition with the other version of Financially Incorrect, which is first question is usually like completely left field. And so my first question to you is, if you didn't know how old you are and you woke up like tomorrow morning, how old do you think you'd be?
If I didn't know how old I was, and I woke up,
how old do you think you'd be? Like you wake up in the morning and you're like, oh, this is me. How old do you think you'd be?
Right now, I feel like 35.
Yeah.
Yeah, literally. I wake up with nightmares, and sometimes I wake up with good things that bring me back to the area around 30, 35. It was a growth area. But I don't think life's beaten me so much to think that I'm 70 now. You know, I feel like 70. I'm 52.
Yeah.
But I still feel like I'm at that 35, 40 mark.
What do you think like the progression of age and time does for people and the way they choose to live? Do you think we limit our lives too much to being a specific age or acting a specific age?
I've seen a lot of people do that, but for me, I'm told I'm not acting my age. So I'm told, whenever they see me and I tell them, they ask me my age and I tell them, and they're like, no, you don't act or look like your age. Yeah. So there are people who are stuck in that. But for me, I've for some reason I feel age is just a number. I mean, I started business when I was 22. If I had to take age as a primary way to live, I probably wouldn't have started business till much later in my life. So I didn't take age too seriously. But now I'm becoming more conscious that I don't want to let age determine how I move forward.
Yeah.
I've had successes because of my young age. It took me far, despite what the odds would have said. So I don't make a big deal about age.
Yeah.
I try not to.
Okay.
Yeah.
I watched this thing. There's this guy called David Goggins. He's like ex-US. I don't know, is it Marine or I think it's Marine. Anyway, he's like one of the toughest guys out there, right? And he was putting this UFC fighter, his name is Izzy, through like a workout, and he breaks people for a living because of how hard he trains and what he puts people through. And so he was explaining how growth for him happens on an ultra marathon. An ultra marathon is basically, I think you run like 100 miles or something crazy. And he was doing a marathon where other people were taking, like you're passing on the baton, and he was running on his own. And so he was explaining how what growth means for him. And he said, on an ultra marathon, in the first hour you hate it, the second hour you love it, the third hour you hate it. And he was like, you get to a point where then you get numb. And he was explaining how many people assume growth happens over time, but growth happens over experiences. So he was saying purely because of going through this 100-hour running journey, he'll have grown so much because of the different things he has to go and put his body through emotionally, physically, mentally. And for him, that's what critical growth is. And so basically explaining that you can go through 1 year of life and grow very little, or you can do something grueling for like a week. And within that period, purely because of what you've gone through, like your growth is exponential.
But it all depends on how much you're willing to stretch your comfort zone.
Yeah.
One, and if you have the endurance to go through that, like he, had a tough mind to go through that journey.
Yeah.
But a lot of people give up, right? So if you're going to go through a bit of discomfort and then you just decide, this is not for me, then you're limiting your growth. So it's all about stretching that comfort zone. But you have to have the mental will and the desire to go through what it is you're going through.
Yeah.
So for me, I think as time goes by, you become wiser because experiences are shaping you. But some people become wiser sooner than later, right? Depending on what they're experiencing and how fast they experienced it. My journey for PC World was literally 21 years. I started it on August 1st, 1996, and I shut it on August 1st, 2016. 1995, sorry. I started August 1st, 1995, and I shut it on August 1st, 1996.
It's 21 years to the day, literally.
21 years to the day.
Okay.
So my journey was 21 years, but I think I matured a lot faster. By the time I was 27, 28,
Yeah.
I was doing what 40-year-olds were doing.
Okay. Before we even get into the PC World journey, let's get a bit of context about who you are, where you come from, whether you had a silver spoon, whether you had a little bit of an assist, basically purely because of where you were born, or if you had to work hard for everything.
I had to work hard for everything.
Yeah.
So I'm third generation Kenyan. I'm born and bred here. Kenya is me. I'm tribe 44. I'm as much Kenyan as you are. So this is home for me. So when I went to the UK to study, that was at the age of 17. I left. Actually, I'm a high school dropout, to make it clear.
Technically speaking,
because I didn't finish my O levels. I did the 844 system, and my parents were worried. This guy is losing control over here. He's partying too much. He's seeing this. I was a brat teenager at the time, and so they shipped me out to the UK, and up until that point, everything was done for me. Like over here, life is good. You have house help. Your parents are cooking, your father is working, you're provided, everything's provided. So when I went to the UK to study my IT course, more than learning IT and graduating with a postgraduate diploma, that was not the win for me. It was the fact that I left home to another country and I saw life as it is for the first time, right? And that was the time my parents were going through a financial distress. So my university days, 4 years in the UK, were tough times. I've slept hungry, I've slept cold. But I went through it. And one thing that I'm grateful for my parents was the ability to send me out go and study abroad and see a different life, a different perspective. And that shaped my character. Because the tough times that I went through over there, I was dying to leave UK once I graduated. And I made a promise to myself that I'll never go back to that country unless I have money. Because, people think, oh, I want to go to UK and do this. And it's a hard life. I mean, it's not easy as it is over here.
Yeah.
The cold, the people, people are miserable 9 months of the year.
Yeah.
They're only happy
Purely
when
because of the weather.
The weather. They're only happy during
Yeah.
summer, and if they're lucky, they have a summer.
Yeah.
If they don't have a summer, you're doomed.
Yeah.
So got to me.
How did you even get into the program without having an O-level certificate?
Yeah, so exactly. So I joined a college which accepted a high school's kind of a qualification.
Okay.
And from there, I worked myself into getting into a university. So I did an advanced diploma.
Okay.
And then I went to do a university degree course. And that's how I got into university. And once I came back over here, like I said, I'll never go back to that country. And I was so determined to be successful. I'd never wanted to be broke again. I didn't want to see broke days. And that shaped who I was and gave me that burning desire to succeed.
Mhm.
And that's how my journey started. So when I came back here, I wasn't armed with a degree or a qualification that was not my superpower.
Mhm.
My superpower is the hunger to succeed.
Mhm.
And that's when my journey started. So I ended up getting a job because then your parents tell you, we've invested so much in you, now go look for a job. What are we taught? We're taught to study, work hard, get promoted, and then life is good.
Mhm.
Live happily ever after.
Yeah.
And that's the journey I embarked on. But 2 months into the job, I was like, I just got a calling that this is not for me. I'm 22 years, 21 years old.
Mm.
I'm an IT manager of a reputable insurance company, one of the biggest. And is this all I'm going to be doing? Supervising people and just sitting behind a desk? And so along that moment happened. And I knew this was not for me. So
Mhm.
I quit the job, not knowing what I was going to do next, but I knew it was an employment.
Mhm.
As you can imagine, the hard time I got at home, right,
Yeah.
for doing this.
So saying, after you're saying your parents have struggled to put you through education in the UK.
So the social stigma that comes with it, and I really got a beating for it through from parents, social. Then at the same time, I'm planning to get married to this rich girl, and so I'm under pressure. Now I'm broke. I don't have a job,
Right.
and I have the desire to marry this girl who becomes my wife eventually,
Right.
right? Yeah. So
Sorry, one second.
pressure.
Did you how much were you being paid at this insurance job? Was money a factor of you quitting? Were you unhappy with how much you were making?
So I was getting paid 15,000 bob gross. This is in 1994,
Mhm.
right? 15,000 bob gross. I get the money after taxes like 13,000 something. I don't even know what it was.
Yeah.
Like the money was so small. I would just take that money and give it to my mom. That's what good boys do. Here's my first income. I did that for 2 salaries only. she thought it was going to be a thing for a long time, but it was only 2 salaries. I gave it to her.
Yeah.
And that was my salary. I go to UK, study, they've spent so much, and I'm getting paid 15,000. Okay, I would have climbed the ladder, but
Yeah.
the journey would have been slow for me.
Yeah. Okay.
And so that was what I was getting paid.
So you want to get married. So where does the idea to begin? Because if I got your journey right, you begin selling PCs before you buy PC World.
Yes.
If I'm not wrong.
I
Right?
started all this from my room in my parents' house,
Mhm.
my bedroom basically.
Yeah.
So after I quit, I said, okay, I cannot just sleep till late and do whatever I want. Because remember, I told you I had this hunger for success. So I would wake up in the morning by 8 o'clock. I'd be sitting. I had a little couch in my bedroom.
Mhm.
So I'd wake up. You won't believe it. I would wear a tie and I'd sit there, but I have no job. I have no job.
What are you staring at?
So what I'd do was I'd get the newspaper
Uh-huh.
and I'd read. Now we're digitally connected, right?
Right.
You have your phone.
Right.
It's funny, now I'd wake up and the first thing I look at is my phone, right? That time I'd pick up the newspaper. So I'd read whatever's happening. And because I'd just come back to Kenya, I'm getting into the system. And at that time, sales used to happen through classified ads.
Mhm.
And my background was IT.
Mhm.
When I was the IT manager, I was helping in procuring IT equipment and changing the systems within the organization. So the epiphany moment happened when one day I was sitting there and a supplier was sitting opposite me, and I started getting all these quotations for IT equipment, and I could see varying prices, right? And then all these guys would come and see me and say, "Hey, listen, man, give me the deal, and there's a cut in it for you." And the cuts were not small; they were big, right? Like, and then one guy's quoting 1.5 million, one guy's quoting 1.2 million, the other guy's quoting 2 million, and I'm seeing a huge price difference. I'm thinking, gosh, man, what's going on here? Are the margins so big? So it was that moment that got me ticking. Now, maybe I should be sitting on that side, not on this side. No matter what cut this guy gives me, there's more money on that side. Because if he can afford to give me that cut, obviously he's making a lot more.
Yeah.
And that's how I said, no, this is not working for me. So I left the job, and then I would read the newspaper. And one day I saw this classified ad of a guy who was selling laptops. And laptops, can you imagine at that time,
This is
1994. 94. Before 95 when I started PCO. So 94 to 95, I was selling computers from my room.
Right.
That's how I got into it. I met this guy who was my co-founder at PC World, right? But before we became co-founder, I met him through the newspaper. We connected. Now, this guy had the money. So I told him, listen, I've seen you're bringing these computers. You bring them from the UK and I'll sell them. So he brought in a shipment of, I think, about 10 laptops. I sold them.
How did you, at that point in time, are you going door to door?
Door to door. I even started putting classified ads. I started subscribing to those classified ads.
Right.
And remember, at that time, things were scarce, right? Yeah. They were not as they are today. So if I put, an ad in the classified and I put a number, then nobody cared about which business it was or what it was. So I started putting these classified ads like he had done. And people would start, at that time it was a landline, right? So people would call you. And my gift, I think I can say it was, I'm good at selling. I'm good at persuasion. So I started selling these laptops through the phone, traditional phone, wait near your phone, let the phone ring, then you get the inquiry, you put the laptop in the car, you go show them. That's hard work, they literally see everything. Then they buy it, they want you to help them, train them, set up. I did the whole works. And like that, my confidence started building. People started hearing about me. So my friends, family, whenever they wanted a computer, they called me. And I was making good money.
Yeah. Question. How much did it cost to put ads in as a classified ad, one? And then two, how did you convince this guy to allow you to do? Because it seemed like he was doing just fine, without you, because he was doing classifieds. So how did you convince him to say, okay, you keep bringing them, but I'll sell them and then you'll give me a cut?
Absolutely. Yeah. That's a good question. So me and this guy, so he also was from a very wealthy background. I'm not from a wealthy background. He was working for Citibank at the time. And he didn't have the time, but he also had this entrepreneurial, bug in him. So this is what he used to do. And since he didn't have the time, and me and him connected really well. Like, first thing is, you're doing business, you want to do business with people, get them to be comfortable with you, become likable, be genuinely good at what you do, at being a good person. If there's trust built, people will back you no matter what happens. And so I had already built trust with this guy, and I wasn't making an effort to do it. I was just being me. And he saw that. And he himself had the same kind of personality that I had. So I had trust in him. Because at the end of the day, money would come to him and I would get my commission. And I had to trust him also because, my money was accumulating, right? So trust was a very big factor, but it was built because both personalities matched. So because he didn't have the time and he saw that I could do this, he says, you do what you're good at and I'll do what I'm good at. I'll import the stuff, you sell the stuff. And that was the beginning of an informal partnership. And like that, for a year, I sold laptops. I told him, don't bring computers, the bulky and the way forward. And this is 1994. Yeah. I'm telling him in 1994, the way forward is going to be laptops. But he's saying, a laptop is 250,000, a desktop is half the price. I said, I don't care. Just the money is good. Let's do the laptops. So I had already the foresight to see this. So we started selling laptops. And from 10, he started bringing 20, then he started bringing 30. And I just sold.
Okay.
At one point, he had my money. I had no money. I didn't even need the money. I was just taking enough money to pay for my expenses. Now, I was making more money than I would in that job, right? Yeah. A lot more money.
Can you give us an average of like what?
Yeah.
And what the commission percentage was for you as well?
So That time, I could even make 100,000 bob on a laptop. Do you know what I'm saying? 100,000 bob on a
In
laptop.
94.
I'm talking 94, yeah. And when I moved into the market, I'll tell you, when I started PC World, people are saying, "Oh, the market's competitive. What are you doing?" What do you mean competitive? I'm making 100,000. That means these guys must have been making 200. Now they're making 100, so they're saying it's competitive. That's ridiculous. Really? So anyway, I was making, when you sell 5 laptops, 10 laptops, you're making 100,000 a piece, and you're splitting it between the two of you. You're making good money. From the 15,000 I came. So money was coming easy. Money was coming good. Confidence was building. Whatever you do was touching into gold, literally. And that's when I think about a couple of months into the job, maybe 8-10 months into this journey, a friend of ours in Yaya Center wanted to migrate to Canada. So he had an IT store in Yaya Center on the second floor in the corner. So I went to see it. And I'd already built a rapport with this guy. So I looked at the store and I said, wow, okay, this thing is I didn't overthink it. I just said, this is an IT store. It's in Yaya Center. At that time, there were 2 good malls. One was Sarit Center and the other one was Yaya Center. So I don't know whether it's naive or what. You don't overthink. So you're like, wow, I want this store. This is where we're going to do business. People will come to me. I won't go to them now. So I went and told my partner, bro, this store is coming up. This guy wants 1.5 million shillings for it. What do we do? He says, take it. So I had accumulated, commissions. He had the money. So we agreed that we would take my money, his money. We go pay this guy, take over the store. Now, this is what people don't know, and I want to tell you. When I started that business, when I started PC World, we were 2 co-founders. I was 20% shareholder. I was running the show. I was doing the sales. I was doing everything. I was 20% shareholder. My partner was 80%. He financed it, right? He didn't even finance most of it. I'll even show you how I raised capital, right? But he was 80% and I was 20%. I can tell you today, if people are given that offer, they'll reject it. They'll say, well, why should I do 20%? I'm doing all the hard work, this and that. But I took it. Maybe naive. I don't know what it was. But I knew, let me just do this because I'm getting a shop. Let me see where this leads to. I wasn't thinking much. I didn't know what PC World would become. We opened doors on 1st August. We registered the company 1st August 1995. We opened doors 1st September 1995. I even remember going to Standard Chartered Bank in Yaya Center to open a bank account. And by the time we were opening the door, all the funds we had accumulated had gone because we were opening this. So we had paid for all the acquisition, the rent deposits and everything. I'm broke now, back to zero. And we were opening a store. And we had little stock, which my partner brought. So I go to the bank. I say, I want to open a bank account. They say, sure. We filled the form. I came back the next day with our signatures and everything, the paperwork. They say, you need to put money in the account. I didn't have money in my pocket. I mean, I just literally just given everything. I've done everything in the store. I checked in my pocket, I had 2,000 bob. That became the opening bank balance of PC World. 2,000 shillings. And that's how PC World started. Began. Literally, that was the journey.
Okay.
Now, yeah.
I want to ask a few questions before we move on, right? So, when this guy gives you his valuation of 1.5 million for that store, is there any analysis that happens between you and your partner? Are you looking at, I'm spending this, I'm buying 1.5 million. This is potentially, I'm spending 1.5 million. This is potentially what I could make based off of projections. Are you doing all of these fancy things that I guess people in the business world do before making any investment?
Me personally, I don't believe in too much detail.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that and I will show you how many times it has worked for me.
Yeah.
Right? When he was asking for the price, he was asking slightly higher. We weren't negotiating based on a valuation. We were negotiating based on our capacity. So we negotiated and came to a 1.5 million. And we were looking at the options at the time. Where will we be? The only options to be right now are Yaya Center and Sarit. And Sarit Center already had a store there that from 1982. We're in 1995 now, right? There is no way we're getting rid of Sarit. We're not getting into Sarit. So the entry point was, as much as sounds low today, it was high for us. But it wasn't a sticking point for us. It was a stepping stone for us. So I always tell entrepreneurs, or yes, be aware of what's involved, the costs involved, and the entry to doing business. But don't let it become a roadblock. It may be a speed bump. Get over it and move on. Don't overthink it. Then you analyze so much, you paralyze. You don't even start the journey. And guess what? We started the journey. We took the leap of faith. We went and took this place. We didn't overthink it. And we got into, first of all, we even had to write a proposal to YI Center, why us? So I had to write at the age of 22 now, I'm writing a proposal which I've never written in my life. Right? And I'm writing this, I wrote a 2-page proposal. We had no AI then. It was just here, yeah. There was zero AI.
No ChatGPT. No.
Yeah. And I had to use one of those computers I was selling to write this proposal, right? And believe me, I when I was writing this proposal, in my mind at the time, I was thinking, I'm not experienced. I don't even know what I'm writing. Yeah. What would a 40-year-old or a 50-year-old write? Maybe there are 20 other proposals for this shop. The management is going to. But then I just wrote a proposal based on my selling skills and persuasion skills. And the management says, we've approved your proposal. You can go ahead and do this transaction. And I got in. That was my first big win.
Yeah.
But again, I had no experience. I just did it. And I moved on. What do people do now? They overthink. You can write an email and you'll not even send it. If somebody is applying for a job, they'll look at it 50 times and it's lying in the draft because they are scared to send it.
Yeah.
I just did it.
Yeah.
So sometimes I tell people, please just do it and go ahead.
Yeah.
So I didn't overthink the 1.5
that valuation.
million.
Okay.
No.
And then how would you equate the 80% your partner's taking? What is for the 80% in the ownership of the company?
Yeah.
What is he doing?
So his value was finance, you see. So at some point you're going to have to need a lot of money to stock this store up. You need, he would do the importation and all that stuff. All I was doing was my sweat equity. It was sweat equity. And I took it. I said, it's fair enough. I'm not really going to, after the initial investment I made, it was just, I had to work. So I said, okay, fine. It's sweat equity. I'll take sweat equity of 20%.
Okay. All right. I guess that sort of clarifies those two questions. Okay, so we can move on. So now you have just put the 2,000 shillings. You have the first bank. Your bank account is now up and running. So how do you get the store going? How do you get the store moving?
Good one. So now we have a store, 500 square feet, and it's empty.
Oh, sorry. And how much was the rent?
I can't remember the rents, but these are mall rents, so they're very high. Yeah, they double the rent of normal places, well over 150, 200,000 for a 500 square feet shop. And this is those days, right?
Yeah.
And so we opened the door. We have very minimal stock. But what I started doing now is because during the year, I'd already developed relationships with other computer people, other computer businesses. You see, so these computer businesses also used to buy from us, laptops when my partner used to bring them. And at some point, they were also suppliers. So what would happen during the time when I was freelancing, I would go and sell computers to the computer businesses. And then those guys would say, why don't you sell our products as well? So here's the thing. This is how I built my capital. It was purely on goodwill, right? I built goodwill first with my founder. Second, I built goodwill with all the suppliers. So they said, okay, you take our products, we'll give you a credit line of say 30 days, 60 days. And those days they were generous. They'll give you 60 days because they were making huge margins. So what I'd do is I'd take their products, I'd sell them, but I'd pay them well before their payment was due. So if, let's say you give me 30 days credit, I'd pay you on between 20 to 25 days. What does that do?
Makes me feel good.
It makes you feel good as a supplier. It builds goodwill. So now the guy says, this guy, man. So he's now prioritizing me than anyone else. So when I go back to him and I get orders, he gives me the first priority. I get the goods, I pay him on time. I get the goods, I pay him. Over time, your credit facility, your credit worthiness has gone up. This is the thing that I see that a lot of people don't do value anymore. Over here, people are up for a quick buck. They want to just do deals for the short-term thinking. For me, it was all about building relationships. So that took me far. So by the time I opened the store, I had built good relationship with a lot of suppliers. So within a week of opening that store, we got the shop full. All on
Credit.
other credit on other people. I call it OPM, other people's money.
Yeah.
Work on other people's money. I've never really invested a lot of money of mine in any of my businesses, and I'll cover that as we go through. It was all OPM, other people's money.
So you're selling you're selling people's products,
Yes.
paying them money in advance of the credit terms,
Yeah.
and they keep giving you more.
They became my source of funding. So they give me the stocks, I sell them, I pay them within the agreed terms. Their confidence builds, they come. Then all of a sudden, your reputation becomes very good. So the market says, hey, do you know there's a PC world? Why don't you go and sell to them? And that's how people would come to us. And I tell them, listen, I'm happy to do business with you, but these, you'll have to give me credit terms.
Yeah.
And at that time, the margins were good. Everyone is giving credit terms. So we did not abuse the terms. We built good relationships, and that's how our store grew. We got shop. We could service any order, and at the same time, we also, my partner would bring in stuff as required. So like that, we launched.
Okay.
And we were well received. But we were giving good service. We weren't just selling, right? We were giving the after sales backup, support, genuine products. I was very selective what we'd sell.
Okay.
There was a lot of junk out there at the time.
When do you begin to hire other people and bring other people into the business? At this point in time, are you the sales, the everything?
Everything.
Yeah. So when do you begin to,
this is a natural progression that happens. You know, when we started and opened the door, I didn't know what it was going to become. You're just excited to be doing something and earning money for yourself. So I would open the door in the morning, shut, but in between I was like doing everything, and adrenaline keeps you going. You're motivated, you're excited, and then you realize, oh my God, no, I can't handle 5 customers when I'm alone in the store. So and my wife would also join me, right? She was my girlfriend at the time, by the way, when we started PC World. Then she became my wife a year later. I think the father-in-law saw this guy. He's going somewhere now. So I must have convinced him. So both of us would work really tirelessly. And then we would sit there and say, hey, we need help now. This store is getting dusty. So we hired our first employee was, I'd call him a cleaner, messenger, all-rounder, an office boy. He was a very good guy. He joined us to help us do things while we were looking after customers. But eventually, this guy also picked up sales. So he could see both of us selling, right? And then he picked it up. And when he was sitting idle, and when I was on a landline phone call in the office, he would attend to customers. So that's how the first employee came on board. Our first year of turnover was it was about between 10 and 12 million shillings. The whole year, first year. That's $1 million shillings
a month.
A month. Wasn't great. It was about that much. By the time we were shutting PC World, we were just we had reached 700-800 million in turnover a year. The turnovers were good, but we could have done much better. We could hit billion even. But there were certain decisions we made, especially never to do government business. We did it. We tried it. We decided, hey, this is not for us. You have to have special skin in the game.
Okay. Before we go there, so in this first year, you say your turnover is about 12 million for the year. How much are you guys paying yourselves as well at this point in time? And how did you decide what to pay yourselves?
You see, the profit margins were good. So we were able to first clear the rents, which were, our overheads were very low. And clearly we were making some money, definitely not the 15,000 gross. We were paying ourselves because we had expenses, right?
Yes.
But my expenses were still low because at that time I was still living with my parents. So I don't think I was drawing a very big salary. It must have been 50,000 or 60,000.
Okay.
And that salary was never my motivator anyway. It was just so that I never had to ask anyone for money. It was good enough for me at the time.
Okay. So again, so just for context, so you're running this company that's doing relatively well. You're still living with your parents.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm not married yet. Yeah?
You're not married yet. Okay. And then, so how do you then, because you then decide to buy out your partner, how does that come to be? What's that discussion like? How much does it cost? What's the agreement like? It mustn't have been I assume, an easy thing for him to have let go.
Let me tell you something. So what
Yeah.
happened when when I was getting married? Actually, yeah. Now I got married the following year, and it was I was getting married. I'm not very it's sketchy, but basically the marriage came into the picture, right? And so I went and I talked to my partner. I said, listen, you are very good at wholesaling. So what he used to do was he would do the importation and distribution. So he would give us enough stock, and then he would also do distribution to other other resellers. And he got a knack for that. He became good box mover. And me, I became a very good end user, customer centric person. So we said, listen, you are doing well with what you're doing, and I'm doing well with what I'm doing, which is PC World and the end user customer. Why don't you become my supplier? Now I'm getting married and this and that, and you're going to make more money doing box moving than be lugged with me. We agreed on a figure. We wrote a paper. To date, I have that paper in my. It's a I think an A5 paper, not even an A4. We agreed the terms of the sale. We signed, both of us, and he gave me 2 years to buy him out. Right, to pay him slowly, and that was it.
That was that. Okay.
That was it, literally.
Yeah.
So the lesson here is, right, I told you it was trust. It's about relationships. If you're good people, right, no matter how, you don't need big contracts and to overthink this. It's me and you talking and agreeing. We're not trying to screw each other. We've seen the advantages and disadvantages of staying together and the advantage of separating. We're not trying to milk each other. We're trying to support each other in our journey. And once people have that trust, that's it. An A5 paper was an agreement we did.
Who do you think got the better end of the deal?
We both got the better end of it, because I ended up doing what I was passionate about, and I focusing on my journey to the customer. He wanted to do box moving, and he ended up doing really well. But box movers don't come up in the limelight. PC World, because it was an end user company, came into the limelight. So he was very successful in his work, and I was very successful in mine. We both got the right. We even to date we are in touch. He's migrated to the US. We're in touch. Never once have we had an issue with saying that either one of us had a raw deal. Never.
Okay, that's good. So buy him out. How then? Do you have a formal conversation with your wife about her coming in as a 50-50 partner, or is it assumed with the marriage?
Can you have a formal conversation? Can you have a formal conversation with your
business?
Those are the lessons. My friend, now I'm married at 23. I started a business at 22.
Yeah.
To put in context, my younger daughter is turning 22 next month. And I can't imagine her starting a business. I don't know how I started. But now I'm marrying at 23. I'm not telling my daughter, go marry at 23. Yes. Please don't do that. But I'm getting ready to get married.
Yeah.
So, because one, we were deeply in love with each other. Two, we both had the same interest. So it was only natural progression that since she was working in the business, she becomes, you need two directors in the company.
Yes.
So she has to be the second one by default. And what do? You've gone into this for life, right? So we're getting 80%. So I'm taking 50, you're taking 50.
And it is what it is.
And then that's what it is.
Okay. All right. I guess that's how that conversation happens. I want you to talk about, because the next thing I heard you talk about was the need for scale. The need for scale for PC World. And you specifically had a comment around growing organically and how that can be slow and people can catch up to you if you're doing a novel business vis-a-vis getting capital and that helps you grow. What was your thinking around that, and how do you then go and seek out your first investment, how you raise capital?
Yeah. So there's a limit to organic growth. How much a supplier is going to give me credit, right? And at some point, you need to have a competitive differential advantage, right? So if you're just buying everything locally, and then those guys are also competing with you, at some point, you'll not grow. So we needed capital. Now I've bought my partner out. I'm paying him every month. I can't remember the figures, and it wasn't huge sums and all. It was very, very cordially done. And around the time it was in 1999, I was nominated for Best Male Entrepreneur in Nairobi by the Rotary Club. I was nominated in 99. There was some, and in 2000, I won that award. So to receive that award, I had to go to the formal ceremony, and there I gave a speech. And at the speech at that time, I remember saying something along the lines that, look, we are now ready to grow, but as a young startup, we don't have capital, and if there are any bankers out there, we'd love to talk to you to see how you can help us grow. And a banker in the crowd heard that. Because as soon as I finished my speech, the guy called me. He said, "Hey, young man." And my wife was there, right? He calls us both. He says, "Young man, young lady, I really like what you're doing. So this is my card. I'm the MD of this bank. And give me a call." So, we are still in that naive frame. So we take the card and we look and we finish our stuff, and then we go home and we say, did this guy really mean it? Did he? He's a big dude, man, So we didn't really call him, but now we are overthinking these things. Yeah. This is the problem of overthinking. Then we're going along our business. And then for me, I'm a person, as an entrepreneur, entrepreneurs want growth. It's just a natural state we are in. So he's always in the back of my mind. And whenever a deal's happening and I'm not getting the funding, or I'm always thinking about this guy, right? So one day I said with my wife, I said, listen, we need to call this guy. We are not going to grow like this. We need to grow. We need funding. Let's give him a call. He's the one who told us. Do you think he was bluffing? Why would he even say that to us? So I convinced her. She goes, okay, let's call him.
Before you talk about how you called him, I want to ask you, what are the things, what are the indicators, looking back now, like what are the indicators that are clear markers that you need to grow? What are the things that are happening that make you feel like this business needs to grow? How is the business
It's
doing?
not even it needs to grow. You have to stay with the pace of growth, because customers are demanding things, right? Are you able to supply? Are you able to grow with their demands? So we are growing. People are coming to us. Transactions are happening. They're asking for stock. More corporates are coming in. More NGOs are coming in. You need to grow with staff. So at some point, 500 square foot shop is where I started, literally. How many people can you stuff in a 500 square foot shop? It becomes really messy. So that's your natural. Those are the signs that you have to grow. You cannot stay in this shop. So to grow, you need more office space. You need more people, and that costs money. You need working capital. So these are your indicators and markers telling you. And so either you're going to seize the opportunity, or you're just going to remain where you are and you're happy with what you're doing. And for me, that was never going to happen. I just want to grow.
Yeah.
I want to maximize my potential.
Yeah.
And so that's what prompted us to call the banker. Call the banker, and he's like, I've been waiting for your call. Where have you been? So anyway, he calls us for a meeting. So he asks us, okay, young man, young lady, what do you want? I said, look, we just basically told him we started a few years ago. We are growing. Our parents are not really going to give us money. They don't have the capacity to. Genuine stuff. We literally told him the way it was. So I said, I need working capital, but I don't have any security to give you. So he goes, no problem. How much do you need? So I said, I don't know. At that time, 2 million shillings looked like, this guy's good, 2 million shillings. Let me just ask for 2 million and I'll see what he says. So I said, I need 2 million shillings. He says, okay. So he says, hold on. Then he calls his senior relationship officer. He says, I want you to come here. I want you to fill the forms, open a bank account for these guys, and I'm sanctioning a 2 million shilling overdraft. And that's how I got the first capital. That time, banking regulations were a bit relaxed. From the 2 million shilling working overdraft, over the years, I'm not lying to you, I went into millions of dollars. And it all started from there.
Yeah.
And that guy, that banker, I don't want to name names and all that for, because of him, I bought my house. I met him in 2000 or 2001, 2000. By 2003, as I was growing and expanding and taking, the facility went from 2 million to 5 million to 10 million. It kept growing. Then one day I remember now, he says, I can't give you unsecured facilities. You need to give me tangible security if you need more money.
Mm-hmm.
So I talked to my parents. At that time, everyone has confidence, right?
Because the store's working.
Things are working.
Yeah.
They said, take the house and give it as security. By the way, don't ever do that. Any entrepreneur listening to this, please do not do that.
Yeah.
Okay?
This is your parents' house.
This is my parents' house. I took the title deed. I went to the guy. I said, this is the title deed, this property. Increase my facility. He looked at me. He told me, you take this title deed, go give it back to your parents. I don't want you ever doing that ever again.
Mm-hmm.
He says, now what I'll do is you go and buy a house and I'll use that house as the security. Can you imagine the guy he's giving me more money to go and buy a house,
Yes.
but he'll take that as a security. So in 2003, against all my imagination, I'm buying a house in upmarket Farasi Lane in Lower Kabete.
Right.
And he gives me the money. And he gives me a loan to pay for it. And he gives me an enhanced facility.
For the business.
Yeah.
So he basically give you 2 loans in one.
And things are going right. They're going right.
Yeah.
For me, everything was going right.
Yeah.
So I bought the house. I paid for that house. I'm not joking. In 3 years, I paid that loan in 3 years. The business was doing so well. I didn't take a mortgage of 10 years, 15, nothing. 3 years I cleared. At that time, I was in that house. Property prices were cheap then.
Yeah, not what they are now. Yeah.
Not what they are. Today that house I bought 10 million. Today that house is worth 90 million. And I'm taking a loan against it. In 3 years, I cleared that loan. The house was free. And my facilities were working. My business was doing well.
Okay.
That's how my capital was happening.
Okay.
But that guy told me one thing. That banker, I still have a lot of respect for him. I see him. He told me, you are sprinting. Can you please
This is at that
stop
point in time.
He's telling me, every time you always tell me, he says, you have too much energy. You're sprinting all the time. You need to go slow. And I'm telling you, God sends you messengers, but we are not listening. He'll send you messengers in different forms.
Yes.
And they will throw a signal at you. But are we listening, or are we too caught up in our noise? And so along my life, many times I've had these people come along and say certain things which I was not listening. Now I'm very, very aware. Somebody says something, wow, I think 20 times and I take it seriously.
Yeah.
That time you're young, you're energetic, you're just going, and everything you're touching is touching into gold. It's turning into gold. So you're like, what is this guy saying? Man? Don't slow me down.
And how is the business doing at that point in time? So when you're getting this facility of 2 million, 5 million, 10 million, the point when you're getting the house, how's the business doing? What's the health of the business? When do you begin to open up the other branches?
The business is doing well. In fact, now I'm even thinking at that time, 2000, I remember, mobile phone was going to start, right? And I had seen this. And by the way, just to let you know, this was the things I could see. When we started PC World, at that time, people used to assemble computers, right? And there was branded computers and locally assembled computers. If a locally assembled computer was 100,000, a branded computer was 200,000. For a while, I tried doing these branded, locally assembled computers. I just didn't see any. I was competing with everyone. It wasn't getting anywhere. So I made a conscious decision. I think it was around 98 or 99 that I'll never sell a clone computer again. I'm only going to sell branded. That means I was going to lose market share, right? Because there was a demand for cheap computers.
Yes.
And I'm selling expensive ones. So when I made that decision, it actually worked in our favor. Because that's when our brand started getting recognized for quality. Because these guys only sell goods, expensive good stuff. And that built our reputation. Along the same time, I could see now the mobile phone industry was going to wake up, the telecommunication sector. So luckily, I had a connection at Safaricom when Safaricom was acquired by Vodafone. The investment came in, and I remember I had the head of marketing who was running the show at that time somehow I connected with him. And so I knew this thing was going to be a big thing, but I didn't have the manpower and additional capital to capitalize on that
segment
opportunity.
Yes.
So I called my cousin in UK who was really doing nothing, and he had the money. He was looking for an opportunity. I said, listen, what are you doing? He goes, I'm not doing much. I said, okay, why don't you come down to Kenya for a holiday? there's an opportunity coming up. So he came down. And then I showed him around. Cut a long story short, I showed him around and I convinced him to do this. So he says, okay. So he went back to UK, packed his bags, came back here, and we started our second business. And it's a very well-known brand you will still see today. It's called Phone Link. And you must have heard of Phone Express.
Yes.
So I was the founder of Phone Link. The company was already registered before he had come, actually. It was there. But when he came, I went into partnership with him. And it was just me and you having a conversation. Do you see the opportunity? Yes. Shall we go into partnership? Yes. Your deal is you're going to put the money in. This is the amount of money you're going to put. Only 3 million shillings, I told him. Put 3 million shillings. I'm giving you, I don't know, X% of the company. And I will give you my contacts network and my goodwill. And you will run this company and we'll grow it together. That was it. There was no document. And then we started that company, Phone Link, like this. Like I brought him into the company.
Yes.
3 years later, he found a friend of mine who, another story, but both of them came to me and says, we want to buy you out. So I said, okay, I don't mind, because at that time PC World was growing, and I wanted to get the Toshiba agency. So my whole focus was on bringing Toshiba to Kenya, to Africa. So I told them, Sawa. So they went and they did a valuation. And in my head, I had already had a figure.
Yes.
I told my wife, if these guys come close to that figure, I am not going to. There is nothing I'm discussing.
That was the figure.
Yeah. So at that time, it was 2003.
Yeah.
The figure was around 25 million, and I needed that money for something.
Okay.
The guy came with a valuation of that. I didn't even argue. I just said, you want it?
Bring
20. This company is yours. The money came in.
Yes.
Right? I was paid, the other partner bought my 50%. So these two went on to build Phone Link and Phone Express. But I was the founder. I was the one who started that concept. I was the one who saw the opportunity, and they saw it. And because I was so engrossed in my IT, I decided to get away from telecom. I wish I'd stayed in the telecom business, by the way, because Safaricom was giving good residuals at that time.
One question: how did you even come up with the 25 million? Again, as someone who's not using
gut
in your heart.
It was in my heart. It was what I think this money was, and it was beyond my capacity at the time to see 25 million.
Yeah.
And so at that time, that was my valuation.
Okay.
Completely emotional and gut instinct.
Yeah. Purely. Okay.
But I'll tell you that because some of the businesses I'm doing now, something I'm doing,
yeah,
my gut instinct and valuations are pretty much spot on, and we'll touch on that later.
Yeah.
So that was my valuation. They agreed. We agreed. The guy who was buying my shares out, we did a sale agreement, and I went to the top lawyers at that time. Now I can afford these things. I did a full legal contract, and my money was to be paid weekly. And I was getting good money. Every week I was getting that money.
Yeah.
I had this headache out of my way, and those two went on to do well. And then I took that money and I continued with my journey.
Was that money going into PC World?
No.
It was your money.
It was our money.
Okay. Right. Okay. So back now to that. First was a fascinating story on the side there about that making a lose 25 million in 3-4 years.
No, less than 3 years. And the funny part is, when I told he was my cousin. Yeah, I told you when he came. When I showed him, I told him this industry is going to explode. He says I need to do research, right? And after my research, I'll decide whether I want to do this or not. I told him, go do your research. This guy is an MBA degree guy, yeah? This is the problem. Do you see the difference? This is a problem. These are these guys who come to think too much, because they've been told to do market research and all that rubbish. I told him, go do your research.
Yeah.
Right? 2 weeks later, into the holiday, he's doing his research. He comes back. We have a meeting. I said, how did your research go? He says, look, I did it. I don't see exciting opportunity. But, because I'm doing nothing, I'm ready to take the risk. I think we will break even. That was his words to me. And 2 years later, he's buying me out with somebody else. And this thing has exploded at another level.
Yeah.
The whole opportunity was... And what was me? Mine was instinct. Him was his business degree talking. That was the difference.
Yeah.
So, and that's how it happened.
Okay. Interesting. I guess that interesting opportunity, and I guess some good money. And I guess when the time is right, the time is right.
Listen to your instinct.
Yeah. So, okay. So at this point in time, you said you're focusing on PC World, How do you begin to branch out? You've given us the justification of the demand of products is what's forcing you to grow. You've gotten facilities now to help you grow. You're paying it back. The company is doing so well. You've paid back a 10 million facility in 3 years. You've bought your house, and then because of the decision you've taken to focus only on branded products, you begin to build your brand as far as consumers are concerned, and you're renowned for quality.
Yes.
So how then do you build into branches? Where do the new branches come in? What's the process of that like? What's the funding and raising capital for that process like?
So all our growth then eventually happened internal funding, right? We never really borrowed. We would fund growth through cash flows. So at some point that worked. At some point it wasn't a good idea, because you need to manage your cash flows correctly. These are some of the entrepreneurial mistakes we made. And when you look at that in hindsight, you shouldn't have done certain things the way you did. But anyway, so because it was a 500 square foot shop and we were in Yaya Center, those days Yaya Center was far, right? It was just far.
Yeah.
So and we have customers in Westlands. So we decided we're going to open a branch in Westlands. So we came to Westlands and we opened a branch in Westlands. And then from there, we started seeing, okay, what are the other opportunities? Then we realized managing from two remote areas with our experience, first of all, remember, we don't have experience. We're learning on the fly, yeah? We got an opportunity within Yaya Center. We realized, things are not, loopholes are there, staff are starting to take advantage. Early signs, these are. And so we decided, if a space comes up in Yaya, we'll expand within Yaya. So as time went on and we were growing, space started opening up in Yaya. So we started taking over these stores and offices within Yaya, right? And consolidating our operations. So when we did PhoneLink, it was in Yaya. Then PC World, we saw that 500 square foot shop was small. There was a guy on the first floor, big, nice 800 square foot shop. He's selling, he wants to migrate to Australia. We went and acquired that store. So we moved the PC World into the bigger shop. We moved PhoneLink into the smaller shop. And that's how we started juggling. We started doing things from within Yaya Center. We got rid of the Westlands branch. So, and then at this time, we started becoming a sort of an authority when it came to retail, because we were one of the few retail outlets at the time. And that's when my bug started coming in, the brand PC World. In UK, PC World is a big store, right? With retail branches everywhere. So that's my vision, that we need to do the same here. And so slowly we started opening. When I got that money, I had now the confidence, right? So I went and bought a building in Westlands.
You bought a building?
Yeah, I went and bought a building.
Yeah.
Because I calculated, I said I paid Yaya Center rent.
Yeah.
By the time, I think 10 years, I can't remember. I paid Yaya Center rent 20 million shillings.
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
So you said?
So I said, if I can pay rent, why don't I own it and pay rent to myself? So we found this building in Westlands. Brand new building was coming up. And we went and negotiated, and I think it was about 45 million. Way beyond our capacity. I went and I did the deal. I shook hands with the guy. I told him we'll buy your building. And that's how we took another loan, because I had some funding and I didn't have. So in 5 years, I cleared that loan also. So I have a whole building now.
Yes.
These are some lessons. These investments were good, because the house was good investment, because the valuation, the property started, the capital gain on that it was appreciating. It was really good. So was the property, the building. Like these, sometimes we did some wise investments and they appreciated. But as they're appreciating, we're putting them as security. Our facilities are growing. That's how the facilities grew. And it was all self-funded. So you're making money, you're reinvesting it. So great, good growth, organic growth. But there's a lesson, because one thing I wish I'd done was I wish I'd saved a lot more. Right?
So you weren't saving for a rainy day. The business wasn't.
We were saving some, but we weren't saving the bug of an entrepreneur is grow. The money is coming. What's going to go wrong? Just keep doing it. Listen, that's just stupidity of the first level.
Yeah.
So I things differently was I would be saving money separately, which you'd never touch, and then not save to save, you save to invest, and I'd put those in investments which would completely stay away from your business. And my message to young entrepreneurs would be that if you're making money, keep a portion of it for growth, right? Because it's important. Don't starve your business because it needs money, and then take a portion of it and invest it and never touch it. Just keep it away. Forget about it. That's your safety net. By the time in 2016, I had zero safety net. We've come to that. We'll come to that.
Yeah.
I had zero safety net.
Okay.
And I'd become accustomed to living a certain lifestyle. And now I have two teenage daughters who are studying in ISK.
I'm laughing because I know
That's a $50,000 a year school fees. And I have to get through that.
That was 2016.
Yeah.
Okay.
That 2016 to 2022 was a tough time for me.
Okay, so before we get there, or before you get there in detail, I mean, so the business is doing incredibly well. I mean, you have a building, and does this turn you into a building manager now? Do you have to now start?
No. I occupied the whole building, and a smart move I made was I registered another company called Dream Investments. I put the building became part of that company, and then Dream Investments became the landlord, and I occupied the whole building. Again, a whole mistake. I didn't need a whole building. It was ego playing, you know.
Sorry,
Four-story, 10,000 square foot building. So I have a showroom on the ground floor. I have a service center on the first floor. I have a management office on the second floor, and now I'm starting other businesses. I'm running from the third floor.
Okay.
And I have storage at the top floor.
Right.
Because my theory was, if you want to steal, you come with a helicopter and steal from me. There's no lift, there's nothing. So I created employment. When goods had to go up and down, I had created employment.
Okay.
But my theory was, I don't want to get robbed.
Yeah.
I had the fear of being robbed physically.
At this point in time, just to touch on the personal side of life at this point, because things are going really well. What's that doing for your ego? What's that doing for...
Dude, man, I'm the talk of town.
Yeah.
Ego is going up. Big problem, yeah? Because then at some point you lose authenticity, you lose, you become too trapped in the social stigma, you know, the social environment and keeping up with the Joneses, and now you're one of those guys, and it's not a nice thing to be. And a lot of people make money, and, you know, especially coming from a very humble background, when I was making this money, my own money, never was it somebody else was making this money for me. I was very proud that I was standing up on my own 2 feet. So there was nobody could say nothing to me. Nobody. Like, you know, they couldn't point fingers that this guy's a rich kid and all that. No, I was just proud of being a self-made man. Yeah. And I was buying the luxuries I wanted to. At one time, I had 2 S-classes. I had a Jaguar. I mean, I had the life, yeah. Whatever you could dream of, I used to think I wanted, I had it. Got. I had a house in a good place. I had this building. I was traveling the world. My kids were in the top schools. What else could you ask for?
Okay. And were you paying yourself a salary that could accommodate your lifestyle, or was your lifestyle determining the salary you were going to pay yourself?
No, so we were paying a decent enough salary. I think it was about between 200,000 and 300,000 net each. So our household income was about 500 or 600,000 net. But
again, this is
the official figure that we are showing for tax purposes, for books and all. But come on, you're in business. You make money. There are ways of making money. Right now, it was like a golden goose just laying those eggs. Yeah,
and you are taking the eggs.
Yeah, whenever the eggs were being hatched, we were taking them. We were whatever they're being laid, we are taking.
Yeah.
So we had access to money. Yeah, it wasn't an issue. Cash flow was good.
Looking back now, what was the first sign for actually, before I ask that question, because we talked about this, I don't know if it was, I think it was off air, because you said, you know, at the time the business also was working really well because of the government at the time had a policy for zero-rated elements to do with IT and all of that. At this point in time, you're in the zero-rated phase.
So I can't remember the timelines, but what was happening was IT was a big thing in those days. It was an enabler, you know, people, the government.
This ideally would be Kibaki's, former President Kibaki's government.
Yeah, it was him who steered growth quite a bit of this stuff. So at that time, there was no VAT on our products, zero duty. So what would happen was people would say, why would we go and buy from the guy in town who we don't trust or don't know? Why don't we just buy from PC World? And that's what spearheaded the growth, open branches, because now these things are zero rated. There's a huge demand, right? People are coming to us. We were never the cheapest in town. I'll tell you, I always never believed in price wars. So we were not the most expensive. We were value for money. So people built that confidence and they would come to us. Then obviously the government decided, no, now IT is a common thing. You add duty and VAT and whatever it was. So they put the taxes back onto the product. And so what happens? You have the unscrupulous dealers over there not paying taxes, not paying VAT. They are all of a sudden, they're 15, 20% cheaper than us. And that's a lot of money. People don't mind spending 3, 4, 5% more for a product, but they're not going to spend 20% more because those guys aren't paying VAT, I'm paying VAT. And that's where these things started happening. Government policy changes, it affects your business. But at the same time, if your systems and your people aren't growing internally with the growth of your front end, your expansion, then those problems happen. There are 4 fundamental pillars to growth, right? To scaling up. 1, people. 2, cash. 3, strategy. And 4, execution. These are the 4 fundamental pillars of a business. Cash I had. Strategy I had. People and execution was probably where I was failing. Because I had no experience in managing people. I was 22 when I started this business. I had 0 experience in managing people. And as an entrepreneur, I was very aggressive. I just wanted, you do it my way or you go. Because I know what I want. So you have to really adapt to me. So I had a lot of churn of people. And then the ones who stayed with me understood me and we grew. But what happened was I had fraud in the company, and not once, I had it twice. So obviously my execution was failing and my people strategy was failing. And that's what led eventually, with among other things, the downfall of the business.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the fraud. What fundamentally, what happened? What did they take? How much did they take? Yeah.
So the fraud has a couple of elements to it, right? These are my lessons.
Yes.
I want to share you these lessons. So I'm a very system-oriented guy, right? If I wanted to do this expansion, I knew systems had to be in place. So when we had these branches, I was the only guy at the time. You're talking expansion starting in 2006 to 2012, yeah? Internet and this cloud-based, there was nothing like cloud then. So I had systems that were online. So if you went to Yaya branch and a transaction happened there, I could see it at the head office in Westlands. I had a very fully automated system. And that's how I started expansion. But where I got screwed were the people in the organization. As you grow and you employ many people, there are people who don't want to work hard. They have ulterior motives. And my one lesson was, the people who've been with you the longest, be careful of those guys.
The ones who've been with you the longest.
Because those guys know exactly how you work, what you look for. They know your timings, the schedules, everything they know about you.
Yeah.
Right? So these people understand you. So I had a mole in my finance department, and he knew what I used to check for and everything. And one day he figured out how to manipulate the system from the back end. Now I cannot go into the back end and see these things, right? So he found something. Then what he did, he created a cartel internally. If you have 6 branches, he goes and befriends all these branch managers, and he does a deal with them. And they created a fraud of the magnitude was 45 million. Can you imagine 45 million? And I'm wondering, I'm looking at everything, looking at the books. I'm saying, we are doing everything right. Where is this money going? There's a leaking tap. We can't find it. I had to hire an external auditor. And when they did a forensic, that's when we picked this. And then we had, when it was told to me, you can imagine the shock and the anger and the everything you can think of, every emotion that a human being can go through, except for the positive ones, you go through it. It just flashes by. You feel hurt. You feel deceived. My God. And then I said, okay, we're going to lay a trap. And we got these guys, right? And we put them
in jail.
Yeah. Okay. But that doesn't solve anything because the money is gone.
Yeah.
Right. So the business is bleeding and it had taken us, it was bringing us down to our knees. And the competition is getting stiff. Margins are dropping. I'm not making 100,000 anymore on a computer, right? Margins are dropping. Overheads are high. Things are getting tough. IT is now becoming commoditized. Everybody is doing it. So all these things are piling up. Your overdraft now has shot up. You are not able to service it. It's getting tough, real tough. And that's when these downfalls happen. But the problem was that fraud. When we arrested these guys and even took them to jail, to date, I've never got justice.
To date.
Yeah. So this is my message also to entrepreneurs. If you think there's law and order in this country, forget it. There is no law and order. I'm just speaking raw.
Yeah.
Because you have evidence showing these people have stolen from you. They've walked free. Right? So these things hamper the growth of entrepreneurs. They hamper the growth of businesses in this country. I know people who are going through fraud. How much fraud did Nakumat go through, if you want to mention? The pilferage they had. Where did it ever get to?
I mean, Equity Bank, the other day, were firing what? Was it 1,000 people? 1,200 people, yeah.
Yeah.
Because of I don't know how much, yeah.
Do you know the fraud that goes internally in banking is how much you hear that they've internal losses, So these things, and where you go to court and then what? You're just in the waiting list. And then people pay themselves out, yeah? And yet these guys had stolen. So these things don't work in your favor. Small things you can get away with. When somebody tells me he's going to threaten me with a lawsuit or I just laugh at them.
Yeah.
There's nothing you can do. There's no law and order.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the reality. So you're doing business, you're on your own. Try not to get into litigation. Just manage these things. If you find somebody who's stolen from you, if you don't get your money, take the necessary action, because if you have insurance against such activities, you'll have to take this action.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Do it for compliance reasons.
Yeah.
But then live with peace that money is gone. So these things hamper your business.
Yeah.
That's when the demise of PC World was happening. All these things started catching up on us.
Yeah.
Until there was a point where I could take it no more. Banks were after us. It was a crazy time. From being right to the top, now you're coming right to the bottom.
Okay, so before we get into, because now it sounds like we're getting into the when it, as you said in the founders podcast, we're getting to the space where it started raining. But before we truly get there, so at the height of PC World, what was your turnover? What were you guys making in a year? I think earlier you had mentioned 700, 800 million.
800 million was our peak of turnover. We could have gone a lot more than that.
Yeah,
a lot more. But then things were now. So I easily think we could have done way over $1 billion. It was possible. We were on the journey to do it. The other reason why we didn't do such turnovers, we were being selective on what kind of business we wanted to do. So even what we did was quite good for where we were.
Yes.
But the books were one to show the banks, one to show the taxman, one was the reality. So if you ask me how much profit was I making, I don't know. I was making money, whether it was on book or off book. So there's no point of even talking about those figures, but we were making money. At some point, we weren't making money because then the overheads became too big. The interest rates were killing us. We were bleeding at some point, obviously. And then things started to unfold.
Okay, so let's talk about now. We get to this other side of the business when things start going downhill. How long was that? How long did it take to go downhill? Because you've gone up for about, if I'm thinking maybe 2012. This is about
from 2012 to 2016. Now those 4 years
are now
the thing, because when the fraud got unfolded, now the mindset had changed. It hits you hard. And it keeps running like a nightmare. And you're no longer trusting people. You're working, but you're thinking people are just out to screw you. The frame of mind has changed. The motivation you had, the psyche you had has all, it's dwindled. So from 2012 to 26, I mean, from 2014, it became really worse, because from 2012 to 2014, even after I got myself together, I said, I can turn this around. I can come back. But on the other side, my wife is thinking, no, you're not, this is not going to happen. And other people are telling me you can't trade yourself out of this problem. And I am very optimistic. Entrepreneurs are just optimistic by nature. So I kept going. But then at some point I realized, nope, they were right. I should have listened earlier. I could have cut my losses earlier and at least walked away with something, which I didn't do. And that's, that was my problem.
So financially speaking, 2012, when things start going south, what fundamentally is the problem? Like if you had to pin and say this is ultimately the problem, or this is what the issue was, and if we would have solved this, we would have been fine.
See, there were multiple of issues. You can't say it was one point. It was your cash flow was gone. You've lost 45 million, and the effect of losing 45 million from a cash flow, there are multiple effects on this. Your creditors are high, you owe people money, your costs, your overheads are high, salaries have to be paid, and interest have to be paid. So how do you turn around now? Is it possible? And I'm thinking, yes, it is, because we still have a good brand. Customers are still coming to us. We can trade ourselves out of this. It's not. The banking facilities are accruing interest, and loans, non-performing loans are, it's becoming a serious issue. And I thought I could genuinely get out of it. Or at the same time, I was looking for investors for the business. This is a journey I remember, yes. What kept me going was thinking I'll get investors to come in. And I did find investors, right, eventually. And what prompted me to shut down was when I found these investors, we agreed and shook hands on the deal. Guess what happens to them? Their can of worms opens up in Mombasa. So they have to deal with their crap. So now this side, who am I? Yeah? And all their family empire is now crumbling on that part. So I was like, dude, I cannot wait any longer. And that was the decision. That's when I said, okay, you know what? It's done. I found the investors. I found my way out of this. So after a very tough time. And that's when but there were a lot of learnings in that journey.
So it looks like this 45 million cash deficit is like the camel that the straw that broke the camel's back. Like it's the thing that you just cannot recover from. And I want to ask you, because again, you said this on the Founders Podcast, why didn't the banks come to your rescue at this point? Because I mean, up until this point, you've had a really good relationship. You've been able to pay facilities, etc. So why didn't they come through then?
The reality is nobody cares about your business as much as you do. The banks are only interested in their money. Now, if you disclose a fraud like this to them, they will panic and they pull the button, right? So we didn't really disclose the fraud to them. I can talk about it freely now, but we kept giving them stories that we're on path of recovery. The banks are simple. When the sun is out, they give you the umbrella. When it starts raining, they take it. Why? Because they have their money at risk.
Yes.
So they don't want to put their money at risk. So what banks should be doing really is they should be working very closely with you at that time. Because look, what have you got to lose? The amount of facility that you lent us, the entrepreneur has a lot more to lose. He has his family, he has his house, his reputation. So he will do everything in his power to work his way out of this. You've got to support it. In defense, I must say, my banks stayed with me as long as they could. They really, the communication line we had with them, they supported us. They even granted me, I remember, I'll even use the figures here. In the crap I remember in 2014 or 2015, I went and I laid the case out to the bank.
Yes.
I said, I can get out of this provided you give me this facility. So they said, what's your facility? I said, give me $500,000 in LC and bank guarantee facilities and give me another $500,000 in working capital. Right? I convinced the bank to do that when I was already in a hole. So the bank, in all fairness, were with me. But the problem that happened, the CEO of the bank told the team, I have approved this facility. I remember this conversation happening in January. That facility didn't get availed to me until August, I think. And that was the problem.
By August.
Yeah, but you cannot be in ICU. You have one oxygen tank and you need the second oxygen tank very quickly and it comes after 6 months. You're dead. You're literally dying. Your organs are failing like anything. That's what happened. So I must give credit to the bank and the CEO for having faith in me. But by the time they released the facilities, It was too late. And I was a unique case, by the way.
Yes.
Even she told me, I don't even know how I'm supporting you. So I was a very unique case.
So basically, it seems like one way or another, despite whatever hole you were in, like you really were able to find the money. One with this other private investor who just before they release the money,
Yeah.
things go south for them.
Yes.
And then even with the bank, technically speaking, you were able to find a way out of it. It's just
Yeah.
other circumstances,
Absolutely.
didn't allow for this to happen. So if you were to break down for me how the business begins to crumble, like in like 3 phases, what happens? Is it closing of branches? We can't pay salaries,
Yeah.
and then we're done. Or
It's literally what happens is you start going on a cost cutting
Yeah.
exercise. You start downsizing. You start looking at your profitability at each level, right? Each branch level, department wise, and you start getting rid of what is not necessary. But then there's a certain level you can do that to. How many staff are you going to get rid of? How many branches? So you have to even dispose of those branches. So I managed to sell one or two successfully. One or two I just closed. I literally, like the Kisumu branch, I just gave it back to the landlord and I couldn't do anything about it. I tried to sell it, I couldn't. Mombasa branch, I luckily got a buyer, I sold it. And I used that money to pay off liabilities. But remember, by now I'm insolvent, yeah? My assets are worth less than my liabilities. So I'm insolvent technically. I'm still standing. This is like a crime, literally. But I'm trying to sort everything out. And then you're going through emotional turbulence because your reputation was so good. You built a business because you used to pay people on time. Now you're not even paying them. And these guys are threatening you with lawsuits. So this starts happening. So you downsize, you sell off branches, you cut on the number of staff, still you're not able to meet your obligations. Litigation starts with certain people, auctioneers are even brought in, and it's the real nightmare unfolding. And we're going through that journey. I'll tell you, one of the good things is despite whatever happened, I think I had a very good PR, a rapport with people. So only one company ever took me to auction. Two took me to auctioneers. One I managed well, the other one I couldn't. But they didn't get anything out of it. They had to do it because they were a big organization and they had to show they were following
through to try and get their money back.
Exactly. So I don't blame anyone for this. They had to do what they had to do. But again, they didn't really recover much. The auctioneers, the fees, everything, by the time they got nothing, really.
Yeah. There's something you said on the Founders podcast about signing personal liabilities. And I wonder, did that play a role at all in what you are enduring
bro,
now?
you're bringing me into my nightmares.
Yeah.
You see, now all my money was raised through banks, right? And today banks don't give you money just like that. They will give you money based on tangible security, but they will make you sign something called a personal guarantee. And I had no choice. They kept throwing in this personal guarantee clause everywhere, and I knew what the implications of that were. But as entrepreneurs, we're always in our optimistic frame of mind. So we don't think these things will happen to us. So we sign because we need the money. One, we need the money. We don't know where else to get it. And we're just too optimistic that we ignore these things. So I signed personal guarantees. And even my wife signed personal guarantees. And we didn't really think it was a big deal to sign personal guarantees. But that's when you realize that when things go south, you don't own anything because you sign personal guarantees. They can come for everything. Where you're sitting, what you're doing, literally. They can. That is when, when things started going south, I was like, oh my God, what did we do? And it now haunts you, right? And personal guarantees is one thing. I mean, if you're taking bank debt, I don't think any bank will give you money without signing a personal guarantee today, but avoid it. Like, if you can, avoid it. Never give your house on, doesn't matter what the growth looks like. Never give your personal house as security.
Okay.
I mean, sacrifice the growth, but keep the house.
Okay. So at this point in time, the business is essentially, like you said, it's in ICU, right? How are you? How is Bobby? How are you personally? How are you doing at that point? How is your family? How are your kids who are in ISK? What is that? What does that look like?
Can you tell me what the pressure must look like? Can you imagine? It's a boiling water there, and you put your hand in it. That's the level of pressure I was under. What helped me? And again, this is a lesson I cannot tell entrepreneurs, create a support mechanism around you. So around 2012, I joined this organization called Entrepreneurs Organization. Yeah. And these are basically entrepreneurs getting together to learn and grow from each other. And they put you in groups, and these groups are called forums. So my forum had, I think seven, we were 7 of us in that forum. And I remember one day calling for an emergency meeting, and my forum gathered. And I said, guys, things are going south. And I became vulnerable and told them things as they were. That was number one, to actually disclose what you are going through openly to other people, right? I was vulnerable and I had to do it. If I didn't do it, I would have not got the help and I would have not seen myself through this. Sometimes we become too, because of our egos and our reputation, we don't want to disclose what's going on. So the first thing I did was I became vulnerable. And the moment I became vulnerable to this trusted group, they said, okay, you know what? We've got this. Let's get out of it. They started bringing me into being objective. I was very emotional. I was depressed. I was going through all the negative emotions you could think of. These guys kept me in perspective. They were my support mechanism. So these guys and us sitting down structured a plan on what would do if eventuality hit. And like that, I started getting through it. But as a person, I was broken because at this time, business has failed. What do you think is next?
Marriage has failed.
Thank you. Marriage is on the brink now. And in 2016, I closed the business, I told you, yeah? Around 1 year before the closing of the business, the wife walked away. The pressure was too much. She saw no way out of it. She only saw the worst. And I don't blame her. The situation was like that. She only saw
If
the
you had
worst.
to give me the situation in numbers, like what was the situation? What were the liabilities vis-a-vis what you had?
You know,
Can
if
you
I start
remember?
disclosing those numbers, other people will come back now, hey, you. So
Tell us
I'm
what
going to
you
say,
can. Tell us what you can.
no, it was in millions of dollars, but that's all I can say. Now you put your imagination on that, right? Because
In terms of
I
what
was
you,
worth,
in fact, what you owed was millions of dollars.
yes, and I was worth millions of dollars at a point, right? Because of my assets and what I was doing, and then I was my liability had become millions of dollars, right? Couple of million. Now that's the pressure that's on you. Me, I built everything from nothing. I had zero and I got to this. What got me through eventually was like, I made it once, I can do it again. I didn't have anything. I've had a brilliant life for 21 years. What am I stressing about? I'll get through it. But now, my wife, it was pressure. And women get insecure. Financial security is very important for them, right? And so when things going south, she could not see light. So she walked away.
Is it that
She said, you handle this stuff. But by then, remember, when you're doing a business with your partner, with your wife, boardroom problems are going where? In the bedroom.
Yes.
Because you don't detach from it.
You can't
It's a
separate.
reality.
Yes.
When things are going well, everything's well here.
Yes.
But when things go south, then obviously it affects everything.
Was the pressure because you were refusing to see the end? So it was like she was like, "This is the end," but you're like, "No." So is that what caused the rift?
Yeah, I'd like to man up and say because I was very optimistic that I could get out of it, and she was like very objective and saying, "No, this thing we can't get out of it." And then at one point I did agree with her, but then maybe it was too late. So the damage was done because it didn't happen overnight. The marriage was starting to fail when the problem started. I think my marriage was probably starting to fail when I look at it now. Probably around 2012, 2013, maybe earlier. Maybe she might say it was earlier. I'm saying around that time. And the funny thing was, one day I remember sitting with a friend of mine who's a lawyer. We were having lunch, and he knows my story, and he's asking me how you coping. I'm saying I'm living. I'm getting through this. How else am I coping, right? And he asked me this. He says, "And how's your marriage?" I said, "Yeah, she's there. Everything's fine. My wife is standing by me." He says, "Okay, that's good to know." So I said, "Why did you ask me that question?" And he goes, 90% of marriages fail during a financial turmoil. That's the first time I knew that statistic. I heard of it. I had never even thought about my marriage at that point. It was a grant. I'd taken it for granted that she would be by me and stand by me, and she was not that kind of woman. And she wasn't that materialistic kind of woman. It's just happened that insecurities build up. So I remember leaving that land and thinking, this guy, man, really, what crazy stuff is it? I really should not hang around with people like this. It's not what I need to hear right now. But he was right.
He was right. Yeah.
And he politely brought that into my head.
What about for your kids? What happens for the relationship between you and your kids? How do you...
So, you asked me how was I feeling, right?
Yes.
The burden on one was so heavy. It was so heavy. And what I was most worried about was my kids, because at those ages, 13, 16 years old, can you imagine? It's your prime teenage years and it's all about show. And here we are going through this. It must have been really tough on them. But they were standing by and, they didn't know any better and they thought we could get out of it. The mother was keeping them calm. At some point, I don't think we were disclosing everything to them. And so they may have never known the full extent of what was going on. But I can only imagine it was hard. It was difficult for me because I was a very different person at that time. Imagine only thing was trying to fight and save. Everything didn't matter. Nothing else mattered to me, and now when you look at it and you say, you know what, there are other things, relationships are more important than what you're fighting for, right? These things come and go. You can rebuild. But once relationships get damaged, they're very difficult to rebuild. You can rebuild them, but they take a lot more time. Right? So it was tough time. And that was what my emotional stress was. What my family, what my kids had to go through with the perspective that, that they may not even have a roof over their head. And those kind of worries was pulling me down. But then I learned a lesson and I read a book and I wrote about this in my LinkedIn profile just last week. I read this book called How to Stop Worrying and Start Living. By the way, around this time, I'd like to say this, when all the nightmares were unfolding, all my good habits started building. I stopped drinking, I stopped partying, I started getting sane because I had to go through this. I had no choice. But if I go and drink to drown my sorrows, when I come back on a Monday or Tuesday, I had to deal with those things. They hadn't gone. And I was in no state if I'm drunk or I'm recovering from a hangover. So I decided I'm not going to drink. I started gymming, exercising. For me, sports is everything. So the more exercises I was doing, the better I was feeling. These are things you hear, you read about, right? But people don't do it. I started doing it. And so all my best habits were formed during my toughest times. And then I read myself out of problems, literally. I literally read. So this book helped me. I started living in daily compartment zones, right? So what would happen is I'd wake up in the morning and I'd ask for strength. God, give me the strength to get through today. I'll deal with just what you throw to me today.
Not tomorrow,
So I stopped thinking about what my kids' house, no house, will they finish education? I stopped all that thinking. I just said, today, are they in school? Yes. Have I got a roof over my head? Yes. Is there an auctioneer outside my door? No. Is there a creditor outside my door? No. What am I worrying about? Nothing. Just go through the day. I went through the day. In the night, I'd come back. I said, oh, okay, it wasn't too bad. And I would give gratitude. I'd just say, thank you, God. I got through the day. And I'd go to sleep. I would block my mind from thinking about anything. The next day, I did the same and I repeated. And over time, I solved problems because the problems I was creating in my mind by worrying were far bigger than what the actual problem was. And so by living in that daily compartment zone, I brought myself into focus. So this is what I want to tell people. Those guys who are going through hard time, first of all, they're not alone, right? Whatever problem they're going through, somebody's gone through it and written about it, and you can buy a book and read about it, listen to these podcasts, right? Somebody's gone through it. Get a mentor, get a coach, right? And there's no problem you are inventing that you can patent for yourself. There isn't.
That's only unique and new for you.
There's no unique problem for you that you can go and patent and have the rights for. Whatever you're going through, somebody's gone through it. So I learned that started changing my mind, my frame of mind. And that's how I started pulling myself out. I read a lot.
Yeah.
And I literally read myself out of problems.
Okay. So you never had to change your kids' schools. You never had to move.
They went through, they graduated in ISK. And then one went on went to university. The elder one went to university, to Edinburgh University. The university she picked, Edinburgh University, and she graduated as a lawyer with a first-class honors degree. The second one got a tennis scholarship. She used to play tennis for the Kenya team. She got a tennis scholarship. She went to Melbourne to a university she picked in Australia, and she graduated last year, and she's been working for a year. So they ended up doing what they had to do.
Okay.
So,
but practically, what did that mean for you to not move them from ISK or to lower, go to a school
that was killing me, because if I told them now, hey, listen, you have to move from this ISK
to,
if I name the schools, they'll get offended. But if I that you have to go to that school.
So you said you'd rather keep taking the debt or keep piling on the liabilities.
Now I'd like to tell you some money stories, right? Like what happened was I did some investments, right? I remember investing at that time. There was a boom, the stock market was taking up and people were buying shares. And you know what caught my eye was when Uchumi did a listing and it was oversubscribed. And I said, how can a failing business like that be oversubscribed? Am I missing something? So I started keeping an eye on the stocks and share market, the stock exchange. Then I think I remember buying my first shares. Was it Scannard? I bought shares for Scannard. This is a service company and it's going to go publicly listed. And I made a shitload of money. I was like, dude, this thing, how can you buy a share that goes from 5 bob to 20 bob? I can't remember the figures, but that happened. Then I was a Safaricom dealer. Remember, I sold phone links.
Yes.
So then I went and after years, I got the bug again. So I went and bought another Safaricom distribution ship. And around the time I bought that Safaricom distribution ship, Safaricom was going public or raising funds. And so as a dealer, I bought shares through the company. Then I bought a lot of personal Safaricom shares, right? I bought them at 5 bob. And I got a lot of allocation. I was lucky. So when my hardship happened, that second Safaricom dealership, by the way, I sold it successfully as well, yeah? So I made money from there and whatever. So now, I started dabbling in stocks and shares in the Nairobi Stock Exchange. And that time, it was quite the right time to do it. And it was pure speculation. And I was making money. So those things helped me because now, when things started going south, I remembered I had shares. Then I remembered about my personal guarantee. Remember, it was personal guarantees.
Yes.
They were a nightmare for me.
Yes.
I was like, oh shit, the banks will come after our shares. They'll come after these assets. So I started liquidating everything. Can you imagine?
You can pay
but here's the thing. Can you imagine Safaricom shares, which I bought at 5, liquidating at 20, 25, I think, when there was a time it was at its peak.
Yes.
I made 5-fold the money.
And how much, if you just give us at least one of the transactions, like how much were you?
Like I had invested small times at that time, invested shares. My stock I must have invested between one or 2 million when I started investing in shares because I didn't know what it was. I was just playing. I must have made 10 to 12 million shillings on stocks and shares within a very short span of time. And I couldn't believe that
it was that.
Yeah, and I'd forgotten about these things, right? So we started liquidating these shares. We managed to get the kids
to school.
Okay. University, don't ask, because that was my other nightmare. How was I going to get through this? Because this is the time when now banks are sending auctioneers to auction your building and your house, right? So that one, but remember I said I didn't think about that. As long as I was meeting today's obligations, I was okay.
That was fine.
So these little investments I had made, I started liquidating it, and I saw the kids ended up going through the high school intact without any issues.
Okay. I want us to finish with the university, but now I want us to come to, I guess, effectively the end of PC world. So what's the day that you wake up and you realize this business it's over? It's done. And you stop being optimistic. So
when I turned into 2016 January, right? First of all, waking up and coming to that place every day was a struggle because all I was coming to do was firefight. That's all I was doing. So around January, February, I knew that it was done. I was just stretching. But now the emotion, when do I shut this? How do I shut it? I mean, and I have the investors who are on board
Mhm.
and they're saying that, yeah, it's going to happen. So the hope is there, but I'm still firefighting every day because I haven't really seen a capital injection.
Mhm.
So I'm still in the hope the investor thing that comes through.
Mhm.
And then when their thing explodes, right, that was the day. Like, I'm like, no. This cannot carry on anymore.
Mhm.
And so it just happens to be, I go to meet a friend and he says, why don't you just shut PC World and come and help me? He was doing property project. I said, okay, fine. And it just happens to be that on 1st of August or 1st of September
Yeah.
of 2016, it coincided. I said, I'll close it on that day.
On that day.
And I shut it. And the staff knew what was happening and I was communicating and we just, but that was the day I literally shut it and said, that's the end of PC World.
Yeah.
And I started to face the reality and I said, we'll see what happens from this
Thereafter.
point on. Yeah.
So what were the financial consequences now thereafter? In summary, like after shutting it, what are the financial consequences?
I was down. Yeah. I had no income or whatever assets I was having, I was selling.
Yeah.
Whatever necessary stuff I had at home, I would sell. Do you know what I did? I lived on credit cards.
On credit cards.
Yeah, I'll tell you. By the way, I become a master at credit cards.
Yes.
People say, "Don't." I lived. Credit cards pulled me out. I had 5 credit cards.
Yeah.
I remember, and I had a credit line of 2 million shillings between the 5 credit cards. I juggled with those 5 credit cards.
You're robbing Peter to pay Paul.
I did, and I kept each one happy. When they said pay minimum balance, I pay minimum balance over here, so my card is active. Every time I got to lose cash, I go pay on the credit cards, and I use credit cards to juggle my way out. 2 million shilling over. I had facility. I valued those credit cards. So when one credit card is about due for payment, I pay the minimum or I pay whatever I can. I just made sure the credit cards weren't locked.
Yeah.
So I would always make sure they were available. And if I needed something, the funny thing is I like going to eat out. I'd become used to eating out a lot. So that habit never stopped. Even in my worst of times, I would
still eating
I'd still go and use a credit card to pay. I just did it, it had become my lifestyle.
Yeah.
So I still got away with quite a bit and I maintained a lifestyle. It reduced a lot.
Yeah.
Couldn't go on holidays anymore. I couldn't travel. Everything was focused around the kids, making sure their education, they're getting through it.
Yeah.
My lifestyle shrunk, but I could still do certain things that I wanted to do using the credit card. And I use credit cards to help me get out of this interim problem.
Okay. So as we wrap up and just to sort of, I guess, end this PC world journey, if you were to write or give an obituary or an ode to PC world and the business that it was, and sort of in that obituary, just talk about the things that one made it great and the things that then killed it. From a financial perspective, what would it be?
The business was good. The industry was good. Everything was working well. I think what I would say was when things are going well, you want to take the credit. When things go bad, you want to put the blame on others. But let me own up to this. A lot of the decisions I made I shouldn't have made. When I look at it hindsight, the expansion that I was doing, venturing into other business, at some point I was losing focus on the core business. And once you lose focus on the core business, the mothership, and that gets hurt, then things will fall apart. So, I mean, I want to take ownership that I made certain decisions that I shouldn't have made. I should have been listening to people. I had a lot of opportunities for guides, mentors, advisors. They did tell me, but I always thought that no, I mean, I know it all. I've built it I've come this far. I can take it to the next level. I ignored that advice. I should have listened to all that. So great business, great industry. But would I do it again? No. Would I go back into that business? No. I've been offered, I've been told come back, and I wouldn't do it. It's a cutthroat industry. It's tough. It was good when it was. So I'm in I do other stuff related to tech, but very different from this. So all I want to do is say PC world was good to me. Because of that journey, today I'm surviving. I built a good network. I learned a lot of stuff. The experiences I learned from there was I couldn't have learned in any business school.
Yeah.
And today that's driving me forward. That's helping my consultancy business. That's helping me with my current customers and the things that I'm doing now.
Yeah.
So I mean, I just want to say rest in peace and thank you. It was a good journey.
Yeah.
Other people miss PC World. I don't miss it that way. I don't miss it at all. I'm much happier now, and I'm glad to be where I am.
Okay.
Yeah.
So post PC World, what then have you been up to?
Yeah. So
and getting through that nightmare.
yeah, man, that was a nightmare.
And you said it was 7 years, 6.
So 2016 I shot.
Yeah.
And now we're it's 2025, so
25.
it's 9 years almost.
9 years. And the nightmare was for?
The nightmare was from 2014 till 2021.
Okay. Yeah, about 7 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a shit show, if I can put it.
Yes.
It was it wasn't nice.
Yeah.
But I got away. The thing is, it's temporary. How long that temporary is? It was 7 years.
Yeah.
It was a long time, right? That's a jail sentence, 7 years. But I got through it, and my mindset was to get through it and overcome it. I never gave up. That's one thing I'm known for. I just don't give up, and I came through it. Now I came up wiser, isn't it? This thing makes you much wiser. So now I know things I don't want to do. So what I started doing is I started a recruitment firm, a niche recruitment firm. No capital required. I started a business with zero capital again, because what was I good at? I was good at connecting people. I had a good network. So what am I doing with recruitment? This guy is looking for a job. This guy is looking to hire. Connect the two, you make good money. And I reinvented a little between that industry, and it started paying my bills. At the same time, I started getting involved in bit of property as an agency, renting out, selling properties, and that kept my cash flows good. Why? Because I'm good at selling. I'm good at taking a buyer from here and a seller. So I realized what my strengths were, and I started using that skill to bring me back up.
Yeah.
One thing I didn't tell you, and I'm going to tell you when I was going through the turmoil, there's something I did. I cannot give you the details of it, but I want your audience to know.
Yeah.
There's something I did, right?
Yeah.
Which I made a good amount of money.
Yeah.
Right? That brought me back up.
Yeah.
And the few friends that I had and the family I had, when I told them I was doing what I was doing, or this is how I was going to get out of the problem, I'll tell you one thing. Nobody believed me that I could pull this off. And I pulled it off not once, but twice. And that brought me into money. Right? And that gave me my head start. And
what's
that
the fundamental of this thing you did?
It's I had to sell some assets which were not even belonging to me by now, right?
Yes.
But I had to sell them privately and make money out of it. And I succeeded doing it very legitly, where everyone came out walking happy. And that money that I made was the one that saw my kids go through the universities, and the top universities, to graduate from where they came.
So you're essentially a broker.
Yeah, so so my skill has always been to buy and sell, and I can do this so well that I always tell people, if you're in business, you could, some people are very good technical, finance, but whatever it is, you have to have a selling skill, period. Whether you're an accountant, you're a lawyer, you're a doctor, you have to have and that's what I'm good at. And that's what brought me back up. So all my businesses now is all about selling, but it's all about connecting, because I built a very valuable network over the last 30 years. And so people pay me for that network. So my recruitment business, connecting job seekers to employers. Then property, connecting buyers, sellers. Now, then I do what I call sales growth consultancy, business growth consultancy. So what people do is they hire me to grow their business, right? Either through partner acquisitions, customer acquisition strategy. I help them grow their business from where they are to the next level. So that's how I did quite a few assignments with international companies. I brought a company from Mauritius, set them up. My contract was 6 months. They kept me for 5 years. I brought another company from South Africa. The idea was to be with them for a year. I ended up being with them for 5.5 years. Now I'm doing 2 contracts. One, I'm already 2 years into it. Then the other one a year, helping them grow. That's what I'm doing. I basically moved from commodity trading to service, to use my skill as so that's what I'm doing. On Monday, I launched an app.
This
Monday, I launched an app.
What was it? 12th?
16th, is
16th,
it? 16th.
Yeah.
I launched an app which had been working for the last 1 year. It's called Let's Play. It's a sports app getting golfers together to book society golf games, and now I'm moving that to within next quarter. I'll have paddle. You've seen paddle is a
Yes,
growing
yes,
sport,
yes.
so you'll be able to book paddle games through our app. And so that app just launched, and I'm working on another portal of buying and selling businesses.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm doing. I've decided to go into non-traditional businesses. I do not want to open a store, go there and sit like an Askari manning people. Nope, it's done,
Yeah.
dusted. It's all working smart now. I don't want to work hard. I've done my time. It's working smart, using the experience
that you've had.
and that's it. And I try to tell people sometimes, yes, you have to work hard, but you don't have to slog at it.
Yeah.
You have to work smart at some point as well. So I'm happy to just share with anyone who cares to listen.
Okay. Man, thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing the story of PC World and giving us a little bit of your personal story and your insight. Guys, we will leave the links to Bobby in the description box for you to find him. He does love to mentor, from what I read on LinkedIn, mentor entrepreneurs and people who are in the business space and be able to find him. He's not very easy to find, actually.
Is it?
No, it wasn't, yeah.
So I'm a bit social shy, but now
Yeah.
I'm starting to come up. People are telling me speak out.
Yeah, you
So
should.
I'm a bit
You
social.
should.
I'll learn
Incredible
from you guys.
story.
Right?
Incredible
Any
story.
tips?
Yeah, but thank you so much for coming. And for you guys who have watched this, I hope you have loved this first episode of Financially Incorrect Business Edition. We have more episodes coming on to you. Please let us know what businesses you'd like us to feature. Like we've said at the beginning, we'll feature businesses, their financial journey, their beginning, their end, what happens in between. I think we've done a great job with PC World. So this episode, this is going to continue. We're going to be doing, at the moment, 2 episodes a month. Hopefully, if you guys love this, we're going to get it to a point where we do even more. But we will see you guys on the next episode of Financially Incorrect Business Edition.